Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Well, after months, we finally have the footage. And so look, there's no more speculation around this event. There's certain things that still are questionable, and we don't necessarily have the full answers to. They're certainly bizarre, and the reason why there was so much speculation around the events that transpired at Nancy Pelosi's home. But for the most part, I think the record needs to be clarified. There's a lot of people that are releasing videos right now in the conservative world with titles and thumbnails suggesting that the camera footage proves all the right-wing theories correct, and I think that's honestly clickbait for the most part. I think there's a lot of disingenuous takes or omitting of facts in some of the videos that I've seen so far, and I personally don't want to take that angle. I want to be truthful. I don't care how much I despise the Pelosis, how much I think Paul Pelosi is an insider trading crook. I think with situations like this, it's important to analyze the facts, take a look at what really happened, and have an honest conversation about the speculation, some of the questions that were asked, because again, I think most of the speculation surrounding this case was legitimate. There was grounds for confusion and asking more questions. Now we have all the answers, and so it's time to conclude it. Anyways, you'll see what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into. Let's take a look at the Paul Pelosi, David DePape attack. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so let's first start off with this. Surveillance video of Paul Pelosi attacker David DePape busting window with hammer before entering the home has been released. Now this right over here is really important because based on the footage that we saw, the glass was broken towards the outside. You guys remember this drone footage right over here? It looks like there's shattered glass on the outside, and so many people were confused by this. It looked almost as if it was a staged event. Why would the glass be broken out rather than in? But it seems as though there's now evidence to suggest that the home was actually broken into.
We also have our first look at the video on the attack of Paul Pelosi, husband of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Look at this. Now, remember I told you that there were going to be things other than the police body cam that would be released. This is the surveillance video outside the home, and that is the suspect, DePape. And you see him, he put some items down, you see him breaking some glass and the fragments of glass that are breaking now. Emily, talk to me about this as evidence in the case.
And so there's the evidence. David DePape broke into the home. It seemed as though he struggled breaking through the glass, which I find a little bit confusing. Possibly he was extremely drunk, maybe suffering through some sort of drug-induced psychosis. And so he struggled to get through the glass. It seems like he's pulling on it. He's trying to break it from inside to out. He's just kind of doing all kinds of random things trying to get through the window or through the door. And so maybe that suggests why there was some broken glass on the outside. Maybe there was broken glass on both sides. I don't think detractors are wrong for the speculation about this case. You have the right to have an opinion. I also thought it was very suspect at the time, and I wasn't necessarily stating anything as fact. I think most people weren't. And so being confused about the facts of this case and asking questions, having theories of what happened, perfectly legitimate. Now we have the evidence. Then there's footage of the police officers opening the door. I'm only going to show you guys the start of that footage because the actual attack later is going to get this video age restricted, so we're not going to be able to watch it, but I'm sure you guys have already seen it. You could look for it on Twitter, on YouTube, wherever you'll find it. Take a look at this.
Hi, how you doing?
Oh yeah.
What's going on, man?
Everything's good.
Hi. Drop the hammer.
Nope. Hey.
And so here's where we get access to some new facts as well. Initially, we were getting reports that both individuals were in their boxers at the time, and so that was obviously causing a bunch of speculation, a bunch of confusion. Actually, it seems as though Paul Pelosi was drinking a glass of wine or something in his boxers at home, while David DePape was not. What's really confusing, however, is Paul Pelosi's actions. He's holding the hammer, I guess preventing the individual from using it, but he walks away from police officers, putting himself in danger rather than signaling to police officers that he's in clear danger, needs help, and walking out of the door to the safety of the police officers. Now, what's the explanation here? It's kind of hard to tell. It's possible that Paul Pelosi was drunk and panicked and frozen and didn't know what to do, and so he put himself in a dangerous position. Once again, I don't think people asking questions and speculating about this case based on the very bizarre actions of Paul Pelosi is surprising at all. Again, he opened the door. door. He backed away from police officers. He didn't signal to anybody that he was in danger. So I don't fault people for asking questions. We have the video evidence. It seems to tell a different story, and that's that. That's a wrap on that one. Now, we also have confirmation that Paul Pelosi did in fact open the door. Remember, this NBC reporter being suspended for reporting on the exact facts of the case.
After a knock and announce, the front door was opened by Mr. Pelosi. The 82-year-old did not immediately declare an emergency or try to leave his home, but instead began walking several feet back into the foyer toward the assailant and away from police.
Well, that reporter who got suspended was in fact correct in his reporting. That is exactly what happened. Paul Pelosi opened the door and then starts losing his grip on the hammer and walks away from police officers, or flees away from police officers, where he is then victimized. So again, an NBC reporter reporting on a different set of facts than the official left-wing media and police narrative, then immediately getting fired made the whole thing quite suspect. I don't blame people. I don't blame myself for having my doubts and speculating about what happened. Now, here's another thing. We previously had a phone call recording between Paul Pelosi and the San Francisco Police Department and police dispatcher, where Pelosi said that David was his friend. Well, we now have a transcript of an earlier portion of the call, which clarifies the situation. The Gateway Pundit reports Paul Pelosi's 9/11 call prior to the attack, quote, "He's telling me he's a friend, but I don't know him." Here is the 9/11 call transcript prior to the attack. The police dispatch says, "This is San Francisco Police, do you need help?" Then Paul Pelosi says, "Oh, was a gentleman here, just waiting for my wife to come back, Nancy Pelosi. He's just waiting for her to come back because she's not going to be here for a day, so I guess we have to wait." Now, the transcript's a little bit unclear and scuffed at certain points. This next line from police says, "Okay, do you need please fire, a medical for anything?" I don't exactly know what that means. Maybe it's police or fire or medical team for anything. 8 seconds of silence. Pelosi then responds, "I don't think so. Is the Capitol Police around? They're usually here. They're usually here at the house protecting my wife." 911 then responds, "No, this is San Francisco Police." Pelosi then says, "No, I understand. He thinks everything is good. I've got a problem, but he thinks it was no. This gentleman just came into the house and he wants to wait here for my wife to come home." 911 then responds, "Do you know who the person is?" He says, "No, I don't know who he is. He's told me not to do anything." "What's your address, sir? What is your name?" "My name is Paul Pelosi anyway. This gentleman says he told me to put the phone down." "Okay, what's the gentleman's name?" "What's that?" "My name is David." "The name is David," says David DePape. "Okay, and who is David?" I think David responds, "I'm a friend of theirs." Pelosi then says, "I don't know. He says he's a friend, but do you know who he is?" 911 then responds, "He's telling me I'm being very leading, so I gotta stop talking to you. Are you sure I can stay on the phone with you to make sure everything's okay?" 911 then responds. Pelosi then responds saying, "No, he wants me to get off the phone. Thank you." The police dispatcher then says, "Okay, bye," and then they obviously were very suspicious of what was going on and then sent somebody to his home. So I think we have clarity. I think we have all of the facts here. I'm not going to start making some crazy leaps and going into theories about what I think happened. I think the facts pretty much speak for themselves. My perspective honestly hasn't changed at all because none of the reporting and questions that we've had about the situation, the speculation, was ever definitive. I and many other people never definitively said that this happened. People were merely questioning, honestly, for the most part, were memeing about this situation, and we kept saying the same thing. We understand the official narrative. Well, release the security footage. We knew there was CCTV footage all around the home. We know San Francisco police officers wear body cameras, so we said release the body cam footage. And here it is. The whole situation was incredibly bizarre. The whole thing with Paul Pelosi retreating to the bathroom, supposedly he was charging his phone in that bathroom. Why he didn't stay in there and lock the door, nobody's really sure. How he acted at the front door or on the phone call, it was all so bizarre. The broken glass on the outside. I think most of the speculation was justified. It's a very weird situation. Now we have the facts and we'll put it to rest. I think Paul Pelosi was held hostage in his home by an absolutely drug-crazed lunatic in San Francisco. Capitol police officers weren't present, I guess, because Nancy Pelosi wasn't there. Paul Pelosi dealt with the situation in a very weird manner. But it's hard to say. Maybe he was trying to be cooperative with the individual, maybe overly cooperative once the police officers were there. It's really hard to say. All I know is that it was a weird situation. There was a lot of speculation, a lot of questions, and now we have all the answers, and that's pretty much it. I don't wish violence on anyone, regardless of what side of the political spectrum they're on. I condemn this David DePape psycho lunatic absolutely, unequivocally. And you know what? I also condemn all the leftoids, Hillary Clinton included, and all these mainstream media journalist hacks who tried to paint David DePape as a far-right Trump-supporting extremist, and connecting this act of violence to supposed extremist conservative rhetoric. So really, nothing changes. I think the left's conspiracies about David DePape and how they instantly made it political, well, those are still the most egregious actions. People questioning the official narrative and official events did nothing wrong, and that's basically my opinion. Thanks for watching. That's what I got for you, and I'll see you guys on the next one.